Recording in progress.
The City of Plymouth City Council special meeting for Thursday, November 2nd, 2023 is now called to order. Members of the public not attending in person may submit written public comment prior to the meeting by emailing your comment to the Deputy City Clerk at vmchenry@cityofplymouth.org before 3:30 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Emailed public comments will be distributed to the City Council and be made part of the official record. This meeting is being recorded. We ask everybody to please silence all cell phones or similar devices at this time. Could we please have a roll call?
Councilmember White,
Here.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sim,
Here.
Mayor Ackerland.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Could everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Number 2 is approval of the City Council special meeting agenda of November 2nd, 2023. And before I take a motion, I'd like to ask for some changes. Under 4, I think instead of regular agenda items, if that could read presentations / proclamations and appointments. And then item 4.2, I'd like to ask if item 4.2 could actually be moved to the regular agenda item and become agenda item 7.5. Other than that, those are the only requests I have for the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve with the suggested modifications as suggested by the mayor.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sim,
Aye.
Mayor Ackerland.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 3, special meeting public comment. Under provisions of the California Code, citizens wishing to address the council at a special meeting for any matter on the agenda may do so by completing a speaker submittal form to the Deputy City Clerk. Speakers will be called by the mayor at the point on the agenda when the item will be heard. Speakers are encouraged to keep comments to 3 minutes or less and to state their name and community of residence. Under provisions of the California Government Code, the City Council is prohibited from materially discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda unless it can be demonstrated to be of an emergency nature or an urgent need to take immediate action arose after the posting of the agenda. Moving on to presentations, proclamations, and appointments. We don't have any presentations, so we'll go to appointments. Item 4.1, discuss and consider appointment to fill the vacancy on the City Council. Could we please have a staff report?
Madam Mayor, City Council, as you know, you interviewed the 3 candidates on October 12th, and tonight is up for discussion the potential appointment of a candidate to fill the vacancy. I would suggest that the council proceed tonight with taking public comment on the candidates and then discussing amongst yourself and then potentially making the appointment to fill the vacancy. And if you decide to do so, the Deputy City Clerk can administer the oath of office and the candidate that you choose could take their seat at the dais. And that's my staff report.
Thank you. Was there any written public comment that was submitted prior to 3:30?
There were no public comments on any agenda items that were
Okay.
submitted prior to 3:30.
Okay. Thank you. So now we'll open this to public comment for those of you who are here in City Hall. And is there anybody who'd like to make public comment? Mr. Cranford, you've submitted the speaker sheet. Could you please come up? Thank you.
Property owner in Plymouth. I'm going to submit a letter tonight to the city council. Recently, it came to my attention that the city was not aware that one of its city streets appears on a map that was submitted by the Island Band of the state of California. That map indicates that Village Drive is a part of the land that the Island Band is representing to the state. And the Department of Interior is being gaming eligible. I'm asking that the city council take some action to determine how this city street came to appear on that map without any apparent approval or knowledge of the city council.
Thank you. Save that for now. Is there anybody else here in City Hall who'd like to make public comment on item 4.1, the appointment to fill the vacancy? And I just want to remind everybody to please make sure your comments are related to item 4.1. Thank you.
John Campbell, native of Plymouth. I'd like the city council to consider either appointing John Colburn or putting this out to a vote. I don't think that one of the candidates that was the antithesis of everything my mom represented is fit to serve. I know for a fact he called her F and B during a closed session. You were there probably. Some of you were there. This did happen. I don't think he's mature and rational enough to serve. And I think that just because somebody was on the ballot is not a valid enough point. The city voters had a choice. They chose not to vote for him. So out of 3, with one guy that hadn't lived here very long. So 2 of 3. And they said, no, we don't want that guy. So either let the voters decide or appoint somebody that served and had represented this town with dignity for a very long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here in City Hall who'd like to make public comments?
Good afternoon, John Colburn, one of the appointees, possible appointees. I just wanted to say I'm looking forward to working with you if you people decide to go ahead and move forward with my appointment. I'd like to bring my expertise on the water and all the public works issues, along with all the other issues that I've been addressing for the last 16 years I was on the city council. Anyway, I look forward to working with you if that's your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here in City Hall who'd, Mr. Cranford, I'm sorry, each speaker has one opportunity to speak.
Under what I thought was public comment or just general public comment about the letter. That's it. On the form, I indicated that I wanted to submit the letter, and I also wanted to speak on agenda item 4.1.
Yeah, I mean, the rules are pretty clear for special meetings. Your public comment has to be related to the items, and that's just per the Brown Act. So, sorry about that.
Too bad that I can't comment in favor of Tom Culver. Thank you.
Is there anybody else here in City Hall who'd like to comment? Please come on up.
Do I need to push anything? Ah,
No.
we're good. Bailey Lebanco. I'm a current resident of Ione, but a previous resident of Plymouth and Fiddletown. And I just wanted to say I was very blessed growing up in this community. I grew up right next to my grandparents. So I spent a lot of time with them. And I spent a majority of my childhood at a dinner table with my Grandpa John, who gave us lots and lots of speeches about what was happening in Plymouth. This is going on in Plymouth. This is what you should be concerned about. This is what's happening now. And this is what they're voting on this week. And I heard about Plymouth and Plymouth and Plymouth and Plymouth. And I just want to let you guys know that I have never met anyone more dedicated and committed to this community as my grandpa has been. And I'm very proud of him, and I hope that you guys will take that into consideration tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here in City Hall who'd like to make public comment? Okay, go ahead and close this to public comment. And could I ask somebody to hit the microphone, please? Thank you. Okay, now I'll open this to council discussion regarding item 4.1. Councilmember White?
I don't know where to begin. I understand that there's two children here, or I shouldn't say two children, two adults here that have just recently lost their mom. And I feel tremendous, and I don't know if they understand that I am right there with them right now and going through some major stuff in my life with my mother. With that being said, though, I don't want to take away. Yes, one of the candidates did lose an election, but he won 3 other ones too. Both candidates have both served the city, besides the third, multiple times. And I don't want to say that I'm trying to defend. I'm just saying, let's let the truth get out there. If it is a thing that we want the people to wish to vote for it, that's going to cost the city a lot of money. If that's the people's wishes, then I'm cool with that. I don't want it to cost the city a lot of money. I just, this whole thing is just not, there's nothing that tastes good about this. That's all I have to say. I feel tremendously upset for everyone involved. But I would also like to say that I understand that there's some property owners here that don't necessarily live in the city. And I think that there's some outside, I'm going to say state, national issues that are getting involved in this that have no part to be with the city. Maybe we need to find out what that road is, but I think that was more directed at, oh, something's wrong again. I don't know. I know that when we did the interviews, the tribe represented here that day. So I'm just saying there's a lot of things for us to consider when we get into all this. And I honestly don't know which way to go.
Thank you. Councilmember McLaughlin?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is, I think Councilmember White, put a nail on the head. I mean, this is not an easy decision, no matter what. There's 2 individuals who I've grown to know very well, who I respect both, which makes this an additional challenge. And then we have one candidate who had the pleasure of meeting for the first time a couple of weeks ago during the interviews. It's something that's important, I think, in clarifying the record, because it's been brought up a couple of times in conversations with community members over the past couple of weeks, that we are not using any previous election results into any consideration. In fact, we removed that possibility by adopting a policy, was it 3 weeks ago now? I don't know, with the special meetings, it's kind of set us off a little bit. But the policy doesn't even allow us for us to use existing. It starts fresh with a process for an appointment piece. And so I think it's just an important distinction. But working through this, I've spent time watching and rewatching the interview. I've spent time talking with a number of our residents in the community, and some who don't reside here but own businesses here, some who don't reside here but own property here, some that reside here and work out of the area or work here as well. And you know, it's even, you know, when people come up and ask me where are you at with things, the answer I guess would still be at this point, I don't know. You know, sitting here before you tonight, you know, looking forward to public comment and, you know, was hoping for the silver bullet that would make this decision easy. But, you know, I don't know. I guess we didn't raise our right hands and run for office because it was easy. And here we find ourselves with that challenge. And I think, yeah, I'm still looking forward to a little bit further debate and contemplation. So thank you.
Councilmember Sim?
This is a very sensitive situation. There's a lot of people have a lot of thoughts about both candidates. As everybody knows, I'm relatively new here in Plymouth. However, I have gotten to know both candidates, both these gentlemen, quite well over the last 4 years. This might be the hardest vote that I've made on council. It certainly is the most emotional. I like both of them very well. I think they're both qualified. They both bring different things to council, different experiences. I can make a case for both of them very easily. Unfortunately, we have to vote for one tonight. It's not a pleasant place to be, but we signed up for it. Here we are. I don't think I need to go through the qualifications for either one of them because everybody in town knows both people quite well. I wish I had something more to say about this, but I have a personal feeling about which candidate I think probably needs to be put on council for the remainder 1 year. But it's a tough decision. I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for the record, I want to make sure that we're not overlooking the third candidate we have. So again, just for the record, we all know that we have John Colburn as a candidate, Peter Amoruso, and Trevor Doyle. I am going to ask a question though. Have we had any communication from Trevor Doyle? We were supposed to do this last Thursday, and obviously we weren't able to do that. He wasn't here last Thursday. Do we know why he might not be here tonight?
We did reach out to all three candidates to let them know that we were discussing this item tonight, and he did tell us that he was not available.
Okay.
He didn't express why he wasn't available. Yeah. He just told us he wasn't available.
Okay, thank you. So I agree with everything the other council members have said. I've had personal, so I'm going to talk now about the two candidates, Mr. Colburn and Mr. Amoruso. Obviously, I've had personal experience with both candidates. I've had positive experiences with both of them, and I agree with Councilmember Sim. I think both would serve the council well. We can only choose one. It's an uncomfortable position to be here because we have to make a decision, and there are people that aren't going to be pleased. But again, that's what we signed up for, is to make decisions, and we were elected to make decisions. I've had community feedback from people who have reached out and have expressed both pros and cons to both candidates. So, so personal experience with both, positive experience with both of them. Community feedback has been pretty much, the scales have been even. I know it's been suggested to me that we just go straight to a special election, let the voters decide. That's not in alignment with the policy we just adopted. I know it would, in a way, it would make it a little less painful for us, and we wouldn't be in this awkward situation. But I think we were elected to do a job, and I think we need to do our job, even if it's uncomfortable at times. I don't think that it would be right to have the taxpayers foot the bill, because if I remember correctly, a special election would be, I want to say, somewhere between $12,000 and $20,000. I wouldn't feel right about passing that cost along to the taxpayers or having it come out of our budget, just so that I personally can avoid making what might be an unpopular decision. The interviews, through the interview process, I think that all of the candidates obviously would bring value to the city with either their experience, whether it's from being on the council before or just other experiences they've had in life through jobs and other things. They're all knowledgeable in different ways. So I've gone through 4 things, and to me, the things are kind of even. Ultimately, to me, there are a lot of things that are important. Something for me had to help me make a decision. Soft skills are important to me. People's ability to communicate, listen, interpersonal skills, even curiosity. Sometimes we're faced with things and I know for me, I show up, there's an agenda item. I think that I know which way I'm leaning towards making a decision, but listening, the curiosity in me comes out. Well, what if I looked at this a different way? Or how can we approach something differently? One of us tonight is going to have to be the first one to throw out a name. So I'm going to throw out the name, my gut under all the circumstances, everything that I have weighed, and my gut and my instinct tells me to support Peter Amoroso. So I'm going to be the first one to throw a name out. A name out. Is there any other council discussion? I feel like I should go through one more round and give everybody an opportunity to make additional comments. Councilmember White, anything you want to add?
I wish I could ask one more question. I know I can't.
One
But,
more interview question?
One more interview
Yeah.
question. But that interview question would be, are you going to run again after the year's up? And I do think both the 2 gentlemen that are here tonight, and I don't want to forget Trevor.
Yeah.
I would really like to know the response to that. I'm going to go back on a little bit of history. The first time I ran against John over some water things. I'm not going to lie, John has educated the hell out of me about water in this community. I've built a beautiful relationship with John throughout that. But I'm also not going to lie, Peter's been a good friend, and Peter was the one who said you would be great on council. So, this is killing me right now. And that's kind of, I guess, the last statement that I got to make.
Councilmember McLaughlin?
It's fortunately it's not possible to have our Zoom hacked and be bombed tonight. I'd hate to put this off again because it's obviously a lot of thought. There's a lot of weight on this. I think for us as a council, we have a much greater responsibility in appointing someone than per se, somebody running for elected office, because we have the responsibility of making a decision and then living with the benefits or the consequences, or depending on, the eyes of the beholder on it. Based on, the interviews and based off of the information, that each of the candidates submitted, based off of a great deal of community input and outreach, and then looking forward, I think Mary Ann said it well with the soft skills and the projected needs that we have over this next year. Both these gentlemen, I love and respect very much, and would do anything I could to help you and support you in any form or fashion. And it makes it, I think Keith, I can feel his heart up here. This is a difficult one. He's known both of you for much longer than I've been blessed to know you. But with that, I will side with or concur or agree with the mayor's recommendation of Peter Amoruso for the position.
Councilmember Sim, any additional thoughts, comments?
When I decided to run for council 3 years ago, John Colburn gave me a lot of direction as to what to do, where to go, how to act, go door to door, where to put my signs. He gave me a lot of really good information. That's because I was clueless. I've never run for anything in my life, and he was a mentor, and he's been a mentor of mine all along. We've talked about a lot of things with regard to the water, the ditch, various other more sensitive issues, but still, he's very knowledgeable, knows a lot about a lot of things, and again, he was extremely helpful to me. Unfortunately, this is not a popularity contest. We have to do what we think is the best for the citizens of the city, and what's best for council. And it's such a hard decision to make, but we have to make it. So I'm with the mayor and Councilmember White.
Councilmember McLaughlin.
And McLaughlin.
Yeah. Is anybody ready to make a motion?
No, I'll, I guess, looking at I'll make a motion to appoint Peter Amoruso to fill the vacancy on city council for the balance of the term through the election of November 2024.
Is there a second?
I'll second Mike's motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sim,
Aye.
Mayor Ackerland.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
If we could have the deputy city clerk step down, and Mr. Amoruso, if you could come forward. The deputy.
How about if we slow this down?
Sure.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could we take a 5-minute recess, maybe?
Yes, let's take a recess. Thank you. All right, we're resuming our meeting.
Raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm
I hereby solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support and defend
I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion.
and that I will and well and faithfully
I will
and well
and will
and
faithfully
faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties that I'm about to enter. And thank you guys. Congratulations.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Can we get some work done now?
Yeah, no kidding. Okay. 5, consent calendar items. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless, before the city council votes on the motion to adopt, members of the council staff or the public request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. And we have not received any public comments on the consent calendar item, so I'll open this to public comment. For those of you here in City Hall, any public comment on the consent calendar? Okay, no public comment here, so I'll close it to public comment. And ready to make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilmember Amaruso,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sim,
Aye.
Mayor Ackerland.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 6, public hearings. There are none. 7, regular agenda items. 7.1, consider adoption of city council meetings policy. Could we please have a staff report?
So the item before you now is City Council Policy CC 022, and it is the City Council Meetings Policy. And this is the policy that shows that the council is committed to doing things transparently, predictability, and promoting public engagements in city council meetings. And this policy was written prior to the council discontinuing virtual meetings, and it may need to be, I apologize, it may need to be tweaked just a little bit regarding virtual meetings. Let me read through it while you do your discussion.
Okay, thank you. I'll open this to public comment, item 7.1. Again, we've received no written public comment on this agenda item. Is there anybody here in City Hall who'd like to make public comment? Okay. I think we're just waiting for some forms. Looks like we have some public comment. Okay. No forms. Okay. Public. Yeah, that's okay.
I think this is the right thing that I was reading. Adoption of council meetings policy. All I was asking on this is it looks like it's all being made for city council meetings, and then my dumb thing, does this also get done by a planning commission for their meetings, or do they have a separate meetings policy than you? And I don't know if you can answer the question or not at this point, or I don't know how that works.
Did you? Well, I know I have a kind of the same question that I plan on talking about during the discussion, but did you have
Okay.
any other comments or?
Other than that, I
questions?
was just seeing how it operated online, how the chat thing is shut off if you're on Zoom or some other substantive online ability to watch it. And and for now, yeah, that's fine. I think dealing with what we dealt with last week with all that high volume, and I mean that was horrible. It's good to have everything turned off right now. It's a good idea. It's happening up and down the whole darn state, and I thought that part, having the chat turned off, maybe that's one other good barrier. But man, it's Sacramento and all these other cities and counties are having that happen. So maybe that's off subject, but yeah, I was just wondering if this affects Commissioner or not. Oh gosh, you're out there. Okay, hi. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment on this item, agenda item 7.1? Anybody here in City Hall? Okay, I don't see anybody, so I'll close this to public comment and open this for council discussion. Councilmember White?
I have no questions, comments. I think Mike was this goes across the board, the planning commission. That was kind of Mike's question, and of course, Margaret already addressed the webinar and the Zoom meetings.
Councilmember McLaughlin?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple of things. I think it brings interesting, consideration for, commission meetings, because some of it may be applicable, but, maybe not. Some of the workshop study sessions, closed sessions, I don't know of some of that necessarily exists, or whether we would do a separate policy for the commission. Frank, I'd love your thoughts, not necessarily this minute, but unless you're prepared. So I'm not going to call it the queue. A couple of things, just, bringing in, that, I think it's important that, some, questions were raised about, creating our policies to stifle public input, when in fact it's to promote public input, to have a clear set of rules and engagement guidelines so that we know how we're going to operate business, so that the public can know what to expect from us, because, well, we can't articulate, the public can't understand what they should expect from us if we can't articulate what we expect from each other, which is really the goal of, this little bit of work. From, public comment, it's addressed under policies, but it's also governed by the Government Code and the Brown Act, and so that's not something we're going to usurp. And then, in here, it basically just putting in writing something that the city has used for a long time, and that's Rosenberg's Rules of Order, and just basically putting it in policy, because there's really no policies at this point, or at least other than what we've adopted in recent months. So, but I don't know if Frank, if you have a thought on that, if you want, we could come back to you at the end.
I'll just tell you now that if we want to make it apply to planning commission, that's going to have to come back as a separate item. There's too much that you'd have to change, because it refers to the specific office of mayor, vice mayor, all that stuff. Plus, it was agendized only for the city council, so that could come back if that's what the council wants. But it'd have to be as is tonight as far as city council.
Thank you.
Councilmember Amoroso?
I have nothing at the moment.
Okay. Councilmember Sim?
Looks like a very good policy to me. I mean, obviously there's 4 pages here. Looks fine. Thank you.
And then my comments would be, I wondered the same thing. Could this also apply? I know we'd have to change this to planning commission meetings, but I think to your point, we don't need to do that tonight. We can move forward with this and then revisit planning commission at a later time. The one thing that I did notice on page 2, and I mean, I could be fine with this, but under canceling meetings, where it says C, the city manager may cancel a meeting when a majority of members have confirmed in writing their unavailability to attend a meeting. And I know in the recent past, we had a couple of, emergency situations that council members couldn't make it. So I'm wondering if we can just keep that in mind, that if somebody's dealing with an emergency, they might not be able to put something in writing. Frank, could we, if everybody agrees, could we strike that part that says in writing, or without making a huge?
Yeah, you could just simply adopt the policy with a deletion of the phrase in writing under 7C. If there's a motion, that would be the motion, just to adopt it as is with that change. That'd be fine.
Okay, that would be my only suggestion with this. So I think we've heard from everybody. Would somebody like to make a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve policy CC-022, city council meetings, with the modification in 7C to strike the phrase in writing.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilmember Amoruso,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sim,
Aye.
Mayor Ackerland.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Item 7.2. Consider adoption of city council functions and duties of the mayor policy. Can we please have a staff report?
This is council policy CC-023 if the council decides to adopt, and it is outlining the functions and the duties of the mayor, which the vice mayor would do in the mayor's absence. And it basically outlines the mayor's responsibilities that are above what a normal council person would do. And it's a pretty basic, simple policy.
Okay. Is there anybody here in City Hall who, I'll open this to public comment. Anybody here in City Hall who'd like to make public comment on this agenda item? No. Okay. I'll close this to public comment and open this for council discussion, starting with Councilmember White.
Yeah, I'd just like to state for the record, looking over this is about half a page. I know that we've had previous council members and mayors before that thought it might have gone into 4 or 5 pages, but I just want to make sure that it's known as half a page, and that looks pretty consistent to what I've always thought of being the mayor was. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councilmember McLaughlin?
Thank you very much. And just touching on just one point on this, that it's been brought forth that that this policy conflicts with the municipal code. Well, the challenge is there's nothing in the municipal code on what the roles of the mayor are, which is why we've created the policy to begin with. And even if it did conflict with the municipal code, where is it? Item 5 talks about the applicability of the municipal code. So I think that's null and void of that concern. So anyway, I fully support this policy. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I hate to ask, I got one more question on this.
Go for it.
When we went through a scenario like we did with COVID and the mayor becoming director of emergency services, do we need to add anything into the policy because of that?
Actually, I had that in mind, and the reference that Councilmember McLaughlin made regarding the mayor also has the authority to do whatever else is otherwise authorized in the municipal code, because there are some specific things like that, and COVID and the emergency powers was a good example, so this would cover that. But it's easier to just say that as a catch-all rather than point to all the very specifics in the municipal code.
Councilmember Amoruso?
I would concur with Councilman White. I think that's pretty much says it. I mean, this is this is the essence of what mayor's job is. So I think it's very concise and clear, and I would say that I really appreciate the way it all is put down for the record, and that way we have something to follow. That's just not Wild West. So thank you.
Councilmember Sim?
I also agree, very, very precise and very clear. Thank you.
And then my only question is, and maybe it's just assumed here and I'm not seeing it, but does there need to be any indication that the mayor is the chair of meetings?
The very first one says the mayor is the presiding officer of the city council.
Okay, thank you.
Each paragraph a page,
Okay, I have no other comments. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept. Hold on, let me get back there. I jump forward. Policy CC-023 of the city that outlines the functions and duties of mayor, which the vice mayor would be responsible for in mayor's absence. The policy would detail to the council what the mayor is responsible for above and what is necessary above and beyond the duties being on a council as a council member.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilmember Amaruso,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sim,
Aye.
Mayor Ackerland.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 7.3, consider adoption of city council powers policy. Could we please have a roll call vote? I'm sorry, jeez.
Get it done. It's all right. It's all right.
Can we please have a staff report?
Yes, policy CC-024 is the city council powers, which defines the authority of the city council and as a body and as individuals of the city council, and it clarifies the roles, the powers of what each of you has to do as a body and as individuals.
Okay, I'll open this to public comment now. Anybody here in City Hall who'd like to make comment at this time? Okay, I'll close this to public comment and open it for staff discussion. And Councilmember White.
I'm good.
Councilmember McLaughlin.
I just have one comment, or just looking to do one change. First of all, I love that this policy comes out, just it articulates, well, what the government code says in terms of the weight of the body and not the individual actions. But item 2F, all council members, including the mayor, have equal powers except as stated in the municipal code. I think we may want to flag policy CC-023 that we just adopted with the functions of the mayor, just so that we're consistent across. And I just saw that one, so that is all.
Councilmember Amoroso.
No, nothing. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Sim.
Reading through this, the first year I see at least 3 violations I made. I got my hands slapped. But anyway, I agree with everything on here, and looks good to me. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm wondering under item 2, E and F, does anybody think that those might be a little bit redundant, or is it, or again, am I misreading it? But just,
There's a difference. I mean, there is a difference between extraordinary powers and equal powers,
okay,
right? Trying to say that, you know, in some cities with a strong mayor, the mayor may have the ability to set the budget or prepare the draft budget or have other powers that other members don't. So some cities have like what they call 100-day committees. So the mayor, upon a new election, has the ability to do certain things within 100 days. So this is just saying that there's no council member that has extraordinary powers above the other. The other point is just to make it clear that the mayor, unless otherwise explained in other places, has the same level of parity among his or her colleagues.
okay, thank you. That's it for me. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt policy CC 024, city council powers, amending, section 2, subsection F to include policy CC 023, the functions of the mayor, wherever it would be appropriate grammatically in that sentence.
And does somebody, would somebody like to second the motion?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilmember Amaruso,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sim,
Aye.
Mayor Ackerland.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Item 7.4, consider adoption of city council designation of city council officers policy. Could we please have a staff report?
City Council Policy CC 009 is the designation of the city council officers, and it outlines the eligibility and processes of the designation of the mayor and the vice mayor, and ways to remove the mayor and the vice mayor from office. And I can answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. I'll open this to public comment. Any public comment? No public comment, so I'll close to public comment. Staff discussion. Councilmember White?
On the removal of mayor, the 4/5, so that's everyone on the council but the mayor, I would assume in a 4/5, unless the mayor wants himself removed, which I can't see that happening. Is 3/5 too lenient on that? I mean, I don't know. I just kind of an idea, you know, because I mean, it's everyone against that person, and I don't know if the council has ever been everyone against that one person. I mean,
It's the pleasure of the council.
I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I'm good with 3/5.
Okay. Not that I plan on removing anyone or don't worry, Mary Ann. I'll let you.
Yeah, I might regret that in a few minutes. Councilmember McLaughlin?
I think, well, 3/5 make it easier. That's assuming anybody wants that job, so. So, anyway, no, I think this, great policy, and I do support the 3/5 just being consistent with all other weighted, votes that we take.
Did you want to make that same change for the removal of the vice mayor?
Yes, I think so.
In
Yeah, that was consistent.
But who
4A?
are we gonna appoint as mayor if we remove the mayor? No. Yeah, I just-
Council, were you done, Councilmember McLaughlin?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Amoroso?
I think the only thing I see in here is the 24 months being consecutive 24 months on council to be mayor. Because if you are elected or re-elected, you know, you've already done potentially 2, 3 terms, whatever one, you know. So you have the knowledge to assume that mayorship. So I think maybe just taking out the 24 months consecutive,
I don't see where it's in there.
23 months.
or 23 months, sorry. My bad.
But it says at least 23 months at any time.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
I must have misread, sorry. Yeah, then that makes more
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
Well, anything
So,
else?
then I take that back then. Nope, I'm good.
Councilmember Sim?
I'm fine. I think the 4/5 back to 3/5 makes a lot more sense.
Okay. And I had actually toyed with the idea of the consecutive months, but it's not the hill I want to die on.
No, right.
Number 1E, it says a majority vote of the council is necessary to designate the mayor, including the nominee for the mayor. I think I'm a little bit confused by that. So typically in the past, hasn't somebody made a motion for the mayor? It's seconded, and then there's a vote.
That's actually a good question. in the past that I recall, we've done, I think in the not so recent past, there's been a formal motion to appoint the offices, but actually in the last, I don't know, I want to say 3 years or maybe more, we've done just a nomination process where you don't need a majority to, you can, any council member from the floor can nominate any candidate, and we get the list of names, and then we take those, a vote for each name in the order in which they were nominated. So if candidate A was nominated, and B, then C, then you would have a roll call vote for A first, and you would do that until you have a majority vote. I would recommend that we probably still follow that process. So I would just say a majority of the vote of the council is necessary to designate the mayor and leave it at that. And then we can follow the normal nomination process that we have.
Okay. So it would read a majority vote of the council is necessary to designate the mayor, period?
Period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody object to that?
No.
Okay.
I'll make that change for the vice mayor as well.
Okay. And then I also wondered about under 2, removal of the mayor. Does it say anywhere that if the mayor resigns or is removed, does the vice mayor automatically become mayor?
I think in our duties of the mayor or the council functions policy we passed earlier talks about the vice mayor serving as the mayor when the mayor is unable to. So
Okay.
essentially, if the mayor is removed or resigns, the vice mayor would take over those duties
Okay.
until there's a new mayoral appointment.
Okay. Okay, those are my only questions and comments. Would somebody, I'd entertain a motion at this point?
I'll make a motion to approve policy CC-009, designation of city council officers with the following modifications. Section 1, subsection E, remove including nomination of the mayor at the end of the sentence. Section 2, subsection A, change 4/5 to 3/5. Section 3, subsection E, remove including the nominee for vice mayor, and then in 4A, changing 4/5 to 3/5. That is all.
Okay, do
I'll
we have a
second.
second? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilmember Amoruso,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sim,
Aye.
Mayor Ackerland.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. What?
Did I jump the gun on you?
No. No, I think we just talked at the same time. Okay, item 7.5. To consider appointment to form an ad hoc committee to work on the Amador County Sheriff's contract. Can we have a staff report, please?
Yes, I don't know what meeting now, but it was asked that I bring back at the item to consider forming an ad hoc committee to work with me on the sheriff's contract. What? Oh, to.
I'll thank you when I want to try to get you.
Okay, to work on the sheriff's contract for police services. And so this is for the council to discuss who they want to appoint to an ad hoc committee, if they want to appoint an ad hoc committee.
Okay, thank you. I'll open this to public comment. Is there any public comment on this item regarding forming an ad hoc committee? Looks like there's no public comment, so council discussion. Councilmember White?
I think it would be a great idea to put an ad hoc committee. I'm going to be real honest. I was thinking about volunteering myself for that, but with recent things that are going on in my life, I don't think that would be the best move that I could do. But I still think that we need an ad hoc committee for it.
Councilmember McLaughlin?
Yeah, I'm in full support, obviously with the discussions at whichever meeting that was at this point. You know, I think this is the way to go, really researching all of our options and you know, really looking at it from 360 degrees and then, you know, reporting back to the council on a regular basis.
Councilmember Amoroso?
I'm, you know, I would support it, and whoever would like to step up and do that, I think would be great.
Councilmember Sim?
I'm equally in support of the ad hoc committee. It's a huge amount of money, and I think that I guess, are we going to decide tonight how many people are going to be on this committee, and are there going to be citizens outside of this room?
Yeah, let me briefly explain that.
Okay, thanks.
Any body that's created by this legislative body is subject to the Brown Act, with one exception. If it is comprised solely of less than a quorum of this body. So in other words, if you create an ad hoc and it has a specific endpoint or goal, which this does, to look at the contract, and it is only comprised of two of you all, then it's not going to be subject to the Brown Act. If you make it a committee of 2 plus 2 members of the community plus whoever else, then it's going to be it's going to have require all the Brown Act requirements. So if you want to make it a little bit more flexible and easier for them to meet with the county and various partners, it's going to be just 2 council members.
So that would be 2 council members as well as the city manager?
The city manager they'll be staffed just like any other project. They'll assist, they'll help.
That's automatic.
Yes, they're going to assist behind the scenes, all the technical stuff, but the committee itself that you are creating has to be just 2 council members.
3 people, 2 council, city manager, 3 people, correct?
The city manager is technically not a committee member.
Okay.
The city manager is the city manager.
Sits in.
Yeah, just like the city manager assists with this body, right? The city manager will help with the ad hoc committee. But the city manager is not a member of the ad hoc committee. So you're really only appointing 2 members of council.
So the 2 councilors come back to the council
Yes.
with their recommendations and
Yes,
thoughts and ideas.
absolutely.
Thank
And
you.
recommendations, they're just advisory.
Any other comments? I don't really have any comments except for, yes, I support this, and I think it's important to form this committee. Just for clarification, is there a way for the public to participate without appointing them to a committee or that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. They have the ability to, as ad hoc, to engage the community like they would any other issue,
Okay,
because it's their constituents, their stakeholders, etc. You just can't appoint them to the committee.
okay. Thank you. Okay. So I think, did you have additional comments?
Does the mayor do the appointing in this case?
It's a council decision.
But being you asked.
Yes.
We just covered that she does not have extraordinary powers. So maybe in her real life, but not as a council member. So
So do I make a motion to appoint the mayor as the appointor of the 2 council members? Is that appropriate?
the mayor as the chair
Yes.
will ask for the question when she's ready, and you can make a motion if you want.
That's right. Go ahead.
So I'm wondering, do we first make the motion to form the committee and then we come back and talk about, well, okay, who's going to be on the committee, or should we just do it in one?
You can do it now. The last direction was for the council for staff to come back with an item for the council to appoint 2 members to this committee.
Okay,
So that's really what's happening. The committee
Okay.
has already been, the idea of the committee is before you. You could choose not to make the appointment. You could continue this like any other item, but if you want to, you can appoint the 2 members tonight.
okay. I'd like to just confirm with Council Member McLaughlin, if you're willing to be on this committee.
Yes, I am.
And then obviously it's up to everybody else to,
Of course, Mike and his experience with municipalities is going to be extremely important with this. And I think it's going to just be someone who's got a little bit of time. Our newest council member, how do you feel about being on this ad hoc committee?
Well, I mean, I could do it. I don't know if Doug had any desires, because, I mean, he's a good negotiator too, so whoever wants to do it, I mean, I'm not, I will step up if needed. You could have it.
Okay, so here's my next question. Doug, how do you feel about being on this ad hoc committee? Because I was going to go down the line.
Well, I feel the same way, but if Peter wants to be on the committee, I wouldn't stand his way. How's that? Sorry about that.
Madam Mayor, how do you feel about being on this committee?
actually, I'd love to be on the committee. I don't know that it'd be a new area for me. I have a little bit of knowledge in law enforcement through osmosis.
Real.
But I'm a little bit worried about me for the time commitment.
You're learning about radar machines, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm a little bit worried about, I'd be afraid to make the commitment, the time commitment, because do you have any thoughts? Like how often, what the time commitment would look like to you?
Now, I think with this, obviously, early on, there'll be a couple as we start getting it, then it's going to be, there'll be a handful of establishing our scope, our charter, identifying, documents to pull together. And, I can't imagine, and most of the meetings would be, I think, fairly short, right? This isn't going to be a, 6-8 hour meeting kind of a committee.
I don't think I could make the time commitment. So I'm out.
Would this ad hoc committee, just Frank, would they be in negotiation, or would they have meetings with the sheriff?
Yes.
You would
Yes.
go to
Yes, and
Jackson, sit down with the sheriff, talk about all the issues that are above on the table.
absolutely. They can't bind the council. They would come back with recommendations.
Sorry, that will be time consuming from that standpoint. It's not going to be sitting down here. And the other thing I would, what about the state of California? How does that play into this whole thing? Because they obviously pay us $100,000 a year today, which we in turn turn over to the sheriff. Is it possible that we can get more money out of them, or is that a whole different issue with regards to the amount of money that they pay us?
I think the COPS grant, and we
It's
probably
separate.
have other people in the room can speak to this better, but I think the COPS grant is based on a per capita basis. So, in other words, I don't think we get a bigger piece of the pie just because we renegotiate our contract with the sheriffs.
So you're afraid it stays at 100,000 no matter what we end up with?
Well, I'm not afraid of that.
Well-
Yeah, I think it's just a known fact. It's going to
You
be.
know that for a fact.
I'm pretty sure it's just going to be 100,000 unless the state changes their methodology.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of sounds like it's between you two to draw straws.
He scoots out.
Yeah,
Want me to do it?
whoever volunteers.
All right, sorry. Okay.
Okay. So is everybody good with that? That it would be Mike and Doug? Do we need to make a
I
motion?
make a motion that we put an ad hoc committee together with
Thank you.
Councilmember Sims and Councilmember McLaughlin.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilmember Amaruso,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sim,
Aye.
Mayor Ackerland.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, now we're moving on to 8, council staff communications. 8.1, do we have a city manager's report?
I'll just make it brief. We had the Parks Grant meeting last night. It was a great meeting. I'm trying to pull a staff report together for next Thursday to bring forward the results of the 2 park grants meeting to hopefully have the city council make a decision so we can move forward on the projects for Lodge Hill and McGee Park. A lot of good feedback, a lot of participation in the decision. We had them come up with their top 3 choices. Filed a police report today for the hacking that happened on the Zoom meeting. They recommended filing FBI report. I'll be doing that tomorrow morning. I will be working till about 3 tomorrow here in City Hall. I think that's about all.
Thank you. Mayor and council members' reports. Councilmember White?
I have nothing at this time.
Councilmember McLaughlin?
I too have nothing at this time.
Councilmember Amoroso?
Yeah, I'd like to take a minute just to say thank you again for, as my colleagues, vote of confidence to step up and fill a seat and move forward with the city and working towards its future. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sim?
Yes, I like to bring up, I like to go back to the well again and bring up the fact that we're only getting $177,000. And I know we voted on it some 5, 6, 8 months ago to split the money between 2 parks, Lodge Hill and McGee Park. I just don't think it's enough money to do very much on, if we cut it in half, to do very much on either park. And I would like to possibly put it back to vote again if we can, to put the money at McGee Park, which is obviously used a lot more than the other park, or the other location, I should say. How do I go about that? I'd like to just, I guess just put it on the agenda, right?
So
Yeah, so procedurally, this is the way that handles, because the council already asked and
We already
answered this
voted on it.
question, right? So we don't want to create the precedent where any council member can basically usurp the will of the majority. So what we can do is it has to be in 2 parts. The first part is it could come back as an agenda item to reconsider that vote. It has to be that a motion to do that has to be made by a council member on the prevailing side originally, and I think that was a near consensus if I recall at the time. So probably any of you can make that motion, but it can't come back at the next meeting to discuss what are we going to do with the money. It has to come back first as a motion for reconsideration as to whether the council wants to reconsider that. If you get a majority vote and the right people make the motion, then we can consider it at a future meeting. So it'd have to be a 2-step meeting, but there is a way to do it. It's just you need to follow the proper order first.
Okay. So
we would start with, we need consensus tonight.
Our newly adopted agenda policy is what? 3 council members?
A majority?
Yeah, so a majority is not voting on, or consensus. The point is, at least 3 of you are not voting on, yes, I agree with Doug, let's do that. You're saying, I'm open to have a vote on to whether we should even reconsider it all at a future meeting, and we go from there.
can I make it a motion to put it on the agenda of the next meeting? To put the whole $177,000 on at 1 park, specifically McGee Park.
Yeah, and I'll take that as to discuss it at a future
Yes,
meeting.
discuss it, yes.
To reconsider that.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second that piece for that agenda with maybe we have this item after the park presentations, and then we have some info to base that consideration on.
Councilmember White?
He seconded.
Oh, okay. It's been moved and seconded. We have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember White?
Yeah, let's talk about it again.
Councilmember McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councilmember Amaruso?
I totally agree. I think it's great. Yes.
Vice Mayor Sim?
Aye.
Mayor Ackerland?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Did you have any other council member report?
Hawksview.
Oh. Any other council member report or request for future agenda items? Are you done? Okay. And I neglected to ask both of you any future agenda items. Okay. And then my report is I want to thank my husband, Don Ackerland, for the work he's done with the radar trailers. I think we all need to give him a reminder that they are not his trailers. No, seriously, I think he's having a lot of fun with it. But they have been seen around town, and I've been able to kind of see them in action. And you see somebody's driving down the street, the light starts to flash, and then you see the brake lights, which is really cool. And then we were able to put them out on Highway 49. Well, he put them out. What am I talking about? Highway 49 for the trick-or-treaters out in front of the RV Village. So that was nice. I think they were appreciative of that.
I appreciated the kids trying to run in front of it. I've seen that a couple times.
And I think I can share on behalf of Don that especially Curtis at Public Works has been super helpful to Don. And so I just kind of drive around in the truck with Don and watch him set it up and all that. But it's really interesting to see the way, it can be programmed and all that. So it'd be nice when Don is able to pass that information along to Public Works so the city can take care of it.
We've assigned an employee to start learning.
Oh, can I ask who?
Jeff Shaw.
Okay.
He worked with the radar trailers when he worked for the county.
Oh, okay.
So he's familiar with the radar
Yeah.
trailers, just not this brand. So he might pick up quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. So Don, thank you for that. I don't have anything else. I don't have any requests for future agenda items. So I think we can go ahead and adjourn this meeting before we go into closed session. So the meeting is now adjourned for tonight, November 2nd.